The next stop on our contest tour is the home of Patricia Arthur in Chickasha. Patricia, welcome to Oklahoma Gardening.
Thank you. Welcome to my yard.
It is so incredibly inviting. I mean, I pulled up and I thought, wow, what a beautiful entrance. And as we come inside, everything is so beautifully detailed and inviting. I love it.
Thank you. Well, it's you didn't see all the weeds I didn't get pulled when you came in the front door. Okay, good. Well, and this little courtyard didn't exist a few years ago. And, you know, I've often thought, if I'd had more money, I could have done this and this. But I have found that being forced to go slowly and take my time, and the ideas, the things I gather, that I put in, are far better. And so when I put up a fence, closed this in, and put down bricks, decided to put this here, move things around a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But, and different things people give me. One of my former students called me the other day and she goes, I have this old school desk, and of course because I was a teacher, that makes it more special. But she said, well, I've been seeing the pictures you post about your garden, and I thought you might want to use this. So that is special. And just lots of, the old egg basket here was given to me years ago. So
you call this your heritage garden. As we walk through, we can see all those little parts and pieces of things that people gave to add a special touch. Your water garden, when I first came in, I missed this. That's how rich this landscape is. Just everywhere I look, there's something new. But even that, there's a little story. Tell me about the glass balls. I thought that was really fun.
Okay, well, and you know, with a smaller garden, you have to tuck little things in where you can, but those are hand-blown little glass balls. A friend of mine taught in Alaska, and so one summer I got this package in the mail, and these are little balls that they attach to the edges of the nets that they throw. It gives it weight to throw out the nets.
Right.
And of course all the fishing they do in Alaska. So sometimes I put them in a jar in the house, and during the summer I have them out floating in the pond. So
it's
you know,
nice that your friends are thinking of you and how you might use these things.
Well, when you're as old as I am, you have a lot of friends.
One of the things as gardeners, plants are certainly a big part of that heritage, and we love to share plants and pass them along and pass memories along with them.
Yes.
And this is one of those plants, right?
Yes. My mother-in-law wasn't particularly a gardener, but by the garage there were always the 4 o'clocks, and of course they came back year after year, and all they did was mow around them. And so several years ago I asked her if she would save some seeds for me, and she did, and she's been gone about 15 years. But the 4 o'clocks come up year after year, have some out front, and make me think of her. And then I hope to pass those seeds on to her grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
Isn't that wonderful that you can continue, share these memories of a living thing from one person to the next?
Yes.
You have a lot of antiques in the yard, and of course some of those have great stories, and this one I think has a fabulous story. Tell me about the gas pump.
Well, my husband and I had 4 children. I was pregnant with my youngest child, Jared, and we had planned to go to this auction that had lots of antiques and everything. Well, Jared decided to be born that Saturday morning, so my husband trucked off with the stock trailer and came back with this. And you know, they're difficult to find and had the glass intact, and I have it wired for a light and just casts a nice glow on the backyard. So that we call that Jared's gas pump.
And just as I look throughout the landscape, you have such a beautiful use of antiques, the chairs, some decorations on your fence. It just adds so much character to the garden.
Well, and you know, so many of those things are things that people have laying around that they just want to get rid of. The old chairs are just heavy. I got those for $5 a piece from a guy. And I've even stopped sometimes in people's yards. They'll have different things out, or an old rusty chair, and I go, would you want to get rid of that? I've even had people just say, oh, take it, to get it out of my way. So,
well, you talked about building piece by piece. Let's take a look over here
go ahead.
your pathway. Well, Patricia, this is a labor of love, and you've built this over many years. Laid the pathways by yourself, and I love how you've incorporated bricks from, you know, special places. As you walk through, you can read.
Well, and they, like I said, most of these I've just collected over the years, and somebody would have a few to get rid of, and it's so neat. The bricks where I guess where they're made, Ada. I think they still have a brick factory there. I'm not sure. I have one over here that's Chandler OT, which stands for Oklahoma Territory. So back before Oklahoma was even a state.
So every little piece just has its own stories. Now, for young gardeners, you know, as you built this up, it's taken some time, but a great way to start are just containers, and you have some amazing containers throughout here. Your trough filled with the beautiful fall color, but what I really love is the way you've elevated these and gotten the plants up closer to the viewer.
Well, and these are all house plants, and so they, with all the shade I have back here, it's been great to get them out of the house, and just a bunch of containers. In fact, that one's just an old trash can that weighs a ton, and you know, prop them up and let them have some natural sunlight.
And they add a lot of color to the landscape as well. Sometimes it's hard to get color into the shade, but you get those variegated colors from a lot of your house plants, and it just adds so much.
I've never lived at a house where I had so much shade, and so you have to totally kind of adjust your thinking. But that's part of the fun, is the challenge, and to get to experiment with different plants, and that's what I want to tell young gardeners. It's like, well, you see this, and I've tried to get it spruced up. It doesn't always look this way, and it didn't always look this way. Like I said, when I first moved here, the weeds were taller than I was in the backyard, and maybe if you're inexperienced and you don't know where to start, like you said, start with the containers, and you know, with all the information we have available on the internet.
Yeah, and we have the gardening fact sheets that have a lot of information through Cooperative Extension. So you're right, that's a great message, that there's so many resources and you could just start small.
Well, and I've really appreciated those pamphlets on the Oklahoma proven plants and trees. I needed a couple of trees out on the front. The west sun is so intense, and I had never heard of Chinese pistache until I looked in one of those brochures and saw that they were good for the heat, the drought, tolerant, and all that. So I planted those a few years ago and never would have known about them had I not looked in those pamphlets.
Well, I'm glad that the resources have been useful. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful landscape with us, and congratulations on being a contestant.
Thank you. I felt very privileged to do that. Thank you.